Video tutorials by Andrew Buckle. In this tutorial for Photoshop CC 2015.2, I'm going to show you the new oil paint filter. Now, it was originally in Photoshop a couple of versions ago. It was removed and now it's back again. Slightly different form, but it's back. Now, one issue with it, Photoshop CC preferences, and I'm just going to go down to performance, just down there, and go to advanced settings. Now, if that is off, you won't be able to use the filter. Simple as that. Just won't work if you haven't got OpenCL. Now, for some weird reason, some applications seem to suddenly make Photoshop lose that. I've actually seen it disabled. I've just put it back on again. So if it's not working, it might be that. It might just be that has been turned off by some other program. Or obviously when Photoshop actually sees suddenly it can't access something. Anyway, whatever reason, just turn that. Now, next thing to do, just go down to Filter and Stylize. It's tucked away in Stylize now, which is a pity, but oil paint. Now, there's exactly the same settings as were available before, but it's a bit cleaner dialogue now and it's lost its preview. Now, you can modify the lighting. Just go up there, I can actually push the lighting up. Personally, I very rarely ever use that feature, but it gives a nice sort of textured background. You can see the result there. You can just push up the lighting shine and you can change the angle. You can see it move around as the light goes at different angles. Now, it's not particularly great. I mean, you go into some applications like Painter comes to mind. There's the apply surface texture and it's got a sort of much nicer sort of 2 or 3, but obviously in this case it's just got one lighting. Well, that's reasonable. But like I say, very rarely ever use that sort of thing, but if you want a texture, it's a great feature, and you can modify it a bit more using scale. So if you actually push scale up, you can see it's kind of really becomes quite, virtually lose the image actually as well when you actually push that up too far. And you've got brittle detail as well, and you can actually just move that back down again. You modify the detail, makes it just a lot more noisy. I think there's a lot more noise kicks into the image, which is fine. But again, let's say, very rarely use that lighting feature, so I'm just going to turn it off. What I really quite like are these two ones. And now, one thing with Photoshop, doesn't allow it to go beyond 10. It would be one of those filters you think it should be 30, 40, 50, should actually extend way beyond that. But obviously the algorithm side doesn't extend to that level, but you can just see the swirls. If you change the stylization down, you can just see it just becomes a bit more sort of very, very local sort of swirls, whereas it just gets a lot bigger there. You can actually see it smear the image much more. And cleanliness, so you can just push that down as well. And again, that just removes, well, all you can see is that structure of the swirls. I say, depending on what you want to achieve, it can be used for like this sort of smeary effect, adding textures, those sort of things. So once you've actually set the setting, and like I say, really works well with particular types of image. Sometimes if you've got a really, really large document, sometimes you can hardly find any actual change, really. And also if you've got a small document, a very like 500 by 500, you might see the effects might really change. So it depends on the image, of course. So it's not always exactly the same with every single image. So right, what you can do, just apply it there. I've just applied it once, but you can, of course, it's not just one trick. You can apply it multiple times. So you can just say filter oil paint. You can go back into the filter itself. So you can apply it multiple times over and over. Like I say, when it's a really quite big document, it doesn't always work. The reapply, reapply, reapply. It doesn't really make it much smoother. But you can, anyway. Just going to go now back to Stylize, just say the oil paint, and you can, like I say, still go back to lighting and add additional there. And then you can just see like that. Just actually sometimes when you actually use lighting, it really becomes quite effective. But once you've actually applied the effect a few times to add some sort of like texture for it to work on, really can come into its own. So click OK at that point. And again, you can apply it once, you can apply it twice. Can really make it become, sometimes it actually ends up a bit of an overkill as well. So you have to restrain. There is, of course, the good old edit and fade oil paint, so you don't have to actually go all the way. So you can reduce it down, you can apply it, and you can also, of course, use blending modes to change the actual result as well, multiply, sort of make it much more deeper sort of oil paint effect. There's lots and lots of features, like I say, definitely not a one-trick pony. Now, once you've actually done that, of course, you can apply it, combine it with other filters as well. Don't have to just use it with one filter. So you can just use, say, filter, blur, and as I pointed out before, it's actually a smart filter. So one thing about its smart filter, if you've got, say, an object, say like a shape or maybe a brushed layer or something, you can actually apply it just to that, add smart adjustments as well. There's a whole heap of things you can do with this tool. So I'm just going to do that. Once you've got it blurred, you can then go back. All right, I'm going to go back to the oil and stylize and oil paint, and again add on top of that. Again, you can create, and of course modify cleanliness. You can change backwards and forwards, or maybe not have lighting at all and just apply the actual effect to that result there. And you can again see it smear slightly. Some of these settings, if you go for stylization, you can put it right back down and clean this up. Very subtle blurring effect. It creates an interesting blurring effect and worth checking out. So again, you apply it once, apply it twice, multiple times. You can see the image becoming a lot smearier, and that sort of result there. Okay, so once you've done that, maybe just go to, again, adjustments, maybe vibrance. You can add some really intense colour there. Click OK. And there you have it. Quick run through of some of the features of the wonderful oil paint filter. Really good tool. Hope you found this of interest. Thank you much.